and we are live with another edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Nicholas Pavona, joined alongside, as always, by my co-host, Andrew Johnson. And Johnson, it's now gotten to that time of the season. We are down to the final two teams in the 2025-2026 season. We now know the two teams that will be partaking in Super Bowl number 60. Two interesting games, different type of games that we had this past Sunday, and now we have a Super Bowl rematch upcoming at Super Bowl 60.
Almost 10 years to the date. That's all I'm going to say. But before we go into it, Nick, how you feeling?
I don't feel as bad as I did last year with Eagles Chiefs. I can tell you that.
It's a lot
I
better,
know how
right? This
you're
is a
feeling,
happy
though.
ending. Oh, we don't know that for sure, but let's go into it, Nick. What's our
Let's
first game?
let's. Do you want to break down the Patriots Broncos?
I mean, there's not much to talk about in this game other
Yeah, I
than
mean,
the
here's how.
Patriots returned to the Super Bowl. It's been a long, strenuous 2,522 days in between Super Bowl appearances. For
Oh
those
boy.
keeping score at home, it's been almost an entire presidential term in between Super Bowl appearances, which is strenuous. As a fan, we went through several hard years of losing records. We had the number 2 overall pick. We had back-to-back 4-win seasons. It's very rough, but this rebuilding thing is fun. I don't know why other teams don't do it or why they struggle with it. I don't
It's
get
gonna
it,
be
Nick.
it's gonna be a long podcast for me, huh?
Oh, no, it's not going to be that bad. You could be a Bills fan.
I don't think the Bills have. I told you this earlier. I think the Jets have it worse right now going to the Super Bowl. And I'll explain that later on when we preview the NFC this game as well. It's maybe a spoiler, but if you haven't heard by now, you probably have heard by now. But anyway, looking at this game was changed so dramatically after what happened in the second half compared to what happened in the first half because Denver started out in the game pretty solidly. You know, Jarrett Stidham made a nice throw to Marvin Mims to set them up for a touchdown. A couple plays later to Cortland Sutton to put them up 7-0 early on. Their defense was thriving, and it looked like right there and there Denver could maybe pull this one off despite not having Bo Nix starting in this game. But the turning point in this game, and yes, I know the snow was a huge factor in the second half. That really hurt Denver. But what really hurt Denver, in my opinion, Johnson, and I agree, and you and I talked about this off the air, of course, was when Denver was up 7-0. They were inside of the red zone in around the second quarter. It was, and they had a 4th and 2 at around the Patriot 18-yard line or something like that. Had a chance to go up 10-0 at that point in the game. They decide to go for it on 4th down. They don't convert. And that would haunt them pretty much the rest of the game. They wouldn't score the remainder of this one. Later on in the second quarter, Jarrett Stidham has a really bad fumble that sets the Patriots up for a touchdown run from Drake May to tie the game at 7. The Patriots would get the go-ahead field goal in the third quarter to put them up 10-7. And that was pretty much it because the snowy conditions really prevented either offense from really doing anything in that second half. The only reason New England was able to do something in that second half was because they opened the second half with an 8-minute drive. They got down the field and they got the field goal just before that heavy snow conditions really hit Denver on that Sunday afternoon. So that really hurt Denver not going for the field goal in the second quarter because of that. And then both teams couldn't make a field goal for the remainder of the game. Denver had a chance to tie it late in the fourth quarter, but the ball got tipped. And even if it didn't get tipped, I don't know if it would have been made. It looked like maybe it would have, but still tough to tell with the snow in that game. And then they had one more shot.
Oh, I think if that field goal doesn't get tipped, he absolutely drills that.
Yeah, you could definitely make the case that was indeed the case. But they had one more chance, even though after the missed field goal happened. But Jarrett Stidham throws a really bad interception that really sealed Denver's fate. Drake May on 3rd down with a nice bootleg run to the outside to get the first down and seal this game for New England. They win 10-7 the final. He throws for just 86 yards, rushes for a touchdown, but that's all they really needed to do. They weren't really able to throw the football against this tough Denver defense. The story of the second half was really the Patriots just running the ball a lot and making sure Denver wouldn't have a lot more opportunities, and them trusting that defense against a backup quarterback at Jarrett Stidham, which really paid off for them in the second half. They got the job done. They go back to the Super Bowl this year, and It's crazy to think because this was a team that came into the season, 60 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl. At one point, they were 121 odds after week 3 to win the Super Bowl. And Johnson, they have a chance now to be the second highest odds to win a Super Bowl since that same New England Patriots team back in 2001.
Yeah, so there's a couple things I want to discuss here, and you can feel free to stop me anytime. But the first point I'm going to bring up is I'm not going to single you out, but I'm sick of people here and saying, "Oh well, the whatever benefit New England." Like, no, both these teams
They
play in
both they both struggled.
open air. It's not like Denver's never played in the snowstorm before. It's not like it's Miami. If they're playing Miami or they're playing, let's say New Orleans, right? Because even they play in a dome too, or they're playing the Rams. I'm just making teams up that play in a dome that don't usually play in the snow.
Right.
Um, no, both these teams playing the snow. It was at home, and all I heard was Tony Romo mention every 5 minutes that the wind was going to be a disadvantage for New England, and it was going to be an advantage for Denver. That's all I heard Tony every 5 minutes. That's the only thing that came out of his mouth.
He's becoming such a bad commentator at the last couple of years, and he used to be
And I
good.
want to go into a couple different things here. And again, I'm not going to be singling you out here. These are just kind of blanket statements. Uh, I have to hear the nonsense of Drake May only had 86 passing yards. Like, well, pretty much the entire fourth quarter you could not pass.
No,
He had, no one talks about his rushing yards. He had a lot of big plays rushing, even when the snow was coming down. He still made the big plays when necessary. No one wants to mention that Denver was one of the best, if not one of the best defenses all year. So there's a lot of different factors here. And I also want to talk about that New England 100% had the momentum going into the second half. So if it did not snow, if New England had momentum, do you really think they would have come back in the
no,
second half, Denver? I mean, it's possible.
I
It's
told you
definitely possible, but
the game was lost when Denver went for that fourth down, didn't take the points, and they didn't get the conversion. New England from there on then had the momentum every single step of the way. They got the stop, even though they didn't score on their next ensuing possession. They forced the fumble on Denver's next possession after that missed fourth down conversion. So that's where it just really changed the dynamic of that game, and that's I think that problem with this game because Sean Payton, to his credit, did everything he possibly could to get Denver the win in this one with the backup QB. But when you're in a spot where points could be very spare and you have to take the most and make the most out of your opportunity. I get it. You want to maybe put a potential early nail in the coffin and get a touchdown on the drive, but you gotta just take the points in that spot. You cannot risk it in that situation because effectively that was the difference of this game. We don't know what overtime could have been if it was 10-10. Late in the fourth quarter, we don't know.
anything goes. Someone slips and you get a touchdown. It's anything goes at that point.
Right. So like the game was lost on that fourth down conversion. You could talk about the snow and everything you want, but you're right. It didn't benefit either team because they couldn't move. The only reason New England got anywhere close to, even got points in the second half was because they got that 8-minute drive to start the second half all via the running play. I think they ran the ball like 8 out of 9 plays
We did.
on that drive. And
Drake
or
May making
whatever
a couple big ones too. A couple big
yeah,
plays on that drive.
and credit to guys like Ramondre Stevenson on that drive. He had some great runs, and even though they got a field goal out of it, the only reason they got the field goal is because they were in chip shot range. Like there was no reason they should miss it. The field goals Denver was taking were about like 45 to 50 yarders in the snow, which is pretty much a 60 yarder if you want to effectively make it like that. So again, I think not going for the field goal, going for a fourth down, I think that's where the game was lost for Denver in this one. They had the opportunities to get the job done and win this game. It just wasn't meant to be. And listen, credit to New England. It hasn't been the prettiest of games for them this postseason. I feel like every single game for them has been really maybe not dog. I didn't say dog. Bowl and shoe ugly. That's a term you and I have heard a lot in wrestling terms from our days of watching Jim Ross. But it's type of those games where they haven't had to look flashy on both on the offensive side. Their defense is doing great, doing a fantastic job this postseason, and they have to score they don't have to score a lot of points to get the job done in all of these games, and they've gotten to the Super Bowl because of it.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy too? When it comes to defensive yards for the 2025 regular season, Denver and Houston, those were the toughest defenses. Every single defense they've played,
Chargers too.
statistically, is harder than the Seattle Seahawks defense.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks, so this is going to be the easiest defense that this Patriots offense has faced all year. I'm not
I
saying
don't
they're going
know.
to go
Is
out and they're
it?
going to kill them. Yeah,
I thought the
statistically
Seahawks had the
speaking,
some.
yeah.
I thought the Seahawks had the number one defense.
It was the Texans when number going into the playoffs. It was Texans 1, it was
Really?
Broncos 2, and then Chargers 5 for yards per game.
I want to look that up in the meantime.
At points per game, it could be less. It's Seattle's number 1 for points per game. They have the least amount of points per game, but for total yardage, it's Texans, Broncos, Vikings, Browns, Chargers. That's your top 5.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm saying it. I'm saying it now.
And guess what? Their pass defense, it's good, but it's not top 5, and I think it's fringe top 10.
The Seahawks pass defense. They have the playmakers on the secondary,
They definitely do.
but they were getting beat up by Nakua and company in that game on Sunday. And I guess since we're talking about that game, let's talk about the Seahawks and Rams on Sunday because that was an incredible game between these two teams, going back and forth, trading punches,
I
a
did
lot of
miss
points
about
scored.
I did
But
miss
oh
the
yeah, go ahead.
first 7 minutes of the third quarter because I was outside shuffling.
Well,
And I hope
shit,
everyone in the Northeast and wherever you are,
God,
Northeast, Southeast, the Midwest. I know you got snow in the South too, so wherever you are, hope you guys had a safe
yes,
winter weather advisory because it's been rough here in the Northeast. I went out to shovel 4 times in the last 24 hours, so
yeah,
it's been a long one.
yeah. It was not fun. I got my shoveling done before. Well, I'm not done, but I made a decent
Oh,
indent
I did it before. I did
before
it
the New England game.
I did 8 a.m. I'm sorry, I did it at 8 a.m. Then I did it at 2 o'clock right before the New England game. Then I went out again around 7:30. So I started at halftime
Yeah,
and then went into like whatever. And then I did it again this morning. So it was a lot of fun.
yeah. I had about like a 2 or 3 hour like session today of just getting everything done. But the sun at least melted a lot of it away. Problem is, Johnson, I think we're scheduled to get more snow on Sunday. So
We are. And I don't know whatever region of the country is, but here in the Northeast, we're getting more.
yeah, not fun. Not fun. Do they know we got a Royal Rumble to watch this weekend?
We do. We do. And I'm very upset because I'm definitely going to watch it no matter what. So
Oh yeah, 100%, easily, easily. But besides the point, yeah, going back into this game, these two teams just showing why they're two of the best teams in the NFC and the entire NFL. A lot of points scoring. Yeah, two of the top three finalists or whatever, how many finalists it is for Offensive Player of the Year, and Puka Nakua and Jackson Smith and Jigba, both going over 150 yards receiving in this game. Both had a touchdown as well. Sam Darnold with an incredible performance, 346 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Stafford adding 374 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. But it really came down to late in the game, the Rams driving down the field. They got inside of the 10-yard line of Seattle down by 4 points, and they just were not able to score late in that matchup. They had chances earlier on in the game as well to maybe get some points out of it, and it was just really what we've seen a lot from this Sean McVay team, Johnson, the last couple of years, where they like to take a lot of gambles. Sometimes they pay off, but sometimes it hurts them at the end of the day. And some of the gambles that they took in this game hurt
oh,
them
I want to speak
effectively
about it
at the end of the day. I know
because
you have some words
you
about it, but
mentioned, yeah, you
Seattle
mentioned
wins
it perfectly.
31-27.
Yeah, you mentioned the gambling perfectly. Uh, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but you mentioned earlier that the outcome of the game could have been decided if they took that field goal earlier.
For the Bronco
And
game, yeah.
late in the midway of the fourth quarter of this Seahawks Rams game, the same thing happened. They could have taken the points. They were well within field goal range with 8 minutes left, and it could have been 31-30. They end up getting the initial fourth down, and then going down, bleeding the clock down another 4 minutes, and they don't get anything. They go 4-4, they don't get anything. So now they just wasted another 4.5 minutes. They don't get any points where they could have just kicked it back to them, taken the points, been 31-30, and make your defense stop them. And turns out the next drive, the defense did stop them. They just ran out of time. So this easily could have been the Rams game if they had just taken the points there. I think that was the key turning point of this game because it went back and forth a lot, but I think that's what decided the game initially, not taking the points with 8 minutes
Yeah.
to go in the game.
And I think something else that decided it too. And I think you remember watching
If the
this at
Rams
least.
won, it would have been the taunting penalty
Yes, that's
on
exactly what I was
Woolen.
getting to. In
That's
the
what it,
third
that if
quarter,
the Rams had won, that's would have been the turning point.
Tariq Woolen with an inexcusable taunting on 4th and 12 after the after the Seahawks just forced an incompletion, and then a play later he gets burned by Puka Nacua for the touchdown. My problem with the touchdown this spot, and I think this is also something that should be noteworthy. Why didn't they go for 2 points at that point? Also, when they were down by it was 31
I'm not
26
sure. That's a great
because
question.
if you get it, you're down by a field goal,
I know,
and then
and then
you're in field goal range of the fourth quarter.
I know it's just a lot of stupid mistakes here.
Yeah, I get it. But I think the problem is kicking the point, getting the point after, and the difference of getting the 2 point conversion. It's the same exact thing. It's a 4 or 5 point game, so you're going for a touchdown regardless. Afterwards, why not just go for the 2 point conversion, try to get it, make it a field goal game, and then at the end when they're inside of the 5 yard line, they don't have to go for the touchdown. They just could tie the game right there and then that game could be in overtime. But yeah, they're just too many gambles for them. That really hurt them, and they almost got bailed. And they almost got bailed out by the Woolen penalty. So we'll see what happens for LA. Going to be an interesting offseason for them. I'm assuming Stafford and company will be back. We'll see if Stafford maybe wins MVP in a couple, or I should say a couple weeks. It technically is a couple weeks from now, day before the Super Bowl. But yeah, Sam Darnold, what a story arc this guy has been on. Johnson, of course, tumultuous career with the New York Jets. He gets thrown out of the city. They replace him with Zach Wilson. He then goes to Carolina for a stint there. He then goes to San Francisco for a little bit of a stint. And San Francisco really was where things started to turn around for him in his NFL career. He becomes the starting quarterback of the Vikings after J.J. McCarthy got injured. And the Vikings should also feel really bad about the situation because they elected to stick with J.J. McCarthy instead of re-signing Sam Darnold. Darnold goes to free agency this past offseason. They sign him to a big contract. They trade away Geno Smith, and it's effectively paid off for this team. They've gone from a team that's just making the wild card to now a team that's the number one seed in the NFC, and now going to the Super Bowl for a rematch with New England and a chance for them to maybe get revenge from that Super Bowl they played, what was that, over a decade ago at this point?
The
Well, over a
Seattle game
decade,
is
yeah.
9 years ago.
Oh, 9 years ago. Okay. Almost. I
9 years
thought it
ago.
was a
Super
decade.
Bowl 51.
Okay.
Super Bowl
Okay.
50 was Denver Broncos and Panthers.
Yes. All right. So almost a decade ago that Super Bowl happened, but a chance for Seattle to get revenge from that matchup, and and this is what I bring it up earlier. I feel like this matchup is worse for Jets fans because either New England restarts the dynasty or Sam Darnold is going to win a ring, bef- you know, after the Jets threw him out of town. And Darnold effectively becomes the first quarterback from that 16 class
Yes.
to make the Super Bowl. The guys with Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. He becomes the first quarterback to make it out of that class.
Crazy when you think about that, right? If you told someone that 5 years ago.
Yeah. And something that I think also, and I brought this up to you earlier too, that it makes the Jets fans feel worse. 2 years ago, they beat January 7th, they beat the Patriots for the first time since 2015 in a game that didn't mean much for either side. Because the Jets win that game, the Patriots get the number 2 pick, and they get Drake May. Or the number 3 pick, and they get Drake May.
This is a crazy world we live in.
It all worked out. It all works out, and unfortunately for Jets fans, it all comes back around for them. So this Super Bowl, if you're a Jets fan, is probably not one you're going to want to watch, in my opinion. It's going to be a long one for you guys.
Sam Darnold is no longer seeing ghosts, but he may be seeing a championship ring.
And funny enough, too, that these two teams, Johnson, at the beginning of the year were both 60-1 odds to win the Super Bowl.
This
And
is a win for the Super Bowl.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
This is
listen.
a
I know people
very
don't like the Patriots. I get it,
yes.
but from an underdog perspective, the Patriots are an underdog team, and they've
Yeah, I think they would tie I mean, I brought this up earlier. They would both. One of them will at least tie the 2001 Patriots for the longest odds to win a Super Bowl from the preseason rankings, because I think the longest odds was the 1999 Rams. I think it was, or
wait. But
101 odds. I think I
Nick,
brought that up last week.
but is the strength of schedule going to affect them this game?
Well, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting test because New England's faced some very tough defenses this postseason, and they got another tough defense coming up. The Seahawks defense is not to be joked about. They certainly could bring the firepower to win this, get this
Yeah, I
job
mean,
done.
at least in my opinion, this is the greatest run when it comes to going for defenses. There's never been a team that went through 3 top 5 defenses in a single postseason. Like that's never happened before. And
And yeah,
one other thing I want to bring up because I bring up the strength of schedule. Hey Nick, you know the 1999 Rams? That was a great team, right? Everyone always like reminisces about them. Greatest show on turf. Kurt
Patriots
Warner,
beat them
yada
2 years
yada.
later.
None. I'm not even saying that. But 1999, you know what's historic about that team too? Their strength of
Do tell.
schedule.
Uh,
They had one of the worst in NFL history. I think the second or third worst in NFL history. So
hmm.
no one likes to mention that though, because I'm sure people in the late '90s, instead of
Well,
watching
remember,
fun football players, were screaming about their strength of schedule.
I
Like it's
wonder
a,
if Twitter was a thing back then. If that would have been a talking storyline.
I think there's always miserable people everywhere. And listen, don't get me wrong, I'm miserable about things too, but it's not like college football where you do the Mike Anderson special to get above 500. We just schedule a bunch of feeder teams to do this, and you
Yeah,
hopefully get a playoff berth. Like there's no such thing here. The NFL makes the schedule, so like if you have any beef, like take it up with Roger Goodell, I guess.
right. And I think some of the other fascinating storylines going into this game, you have Mike Vrabel having a chance to become the first person in NFL history to win a Super Bowl, both as a player and as a head coach with the same team. The Patriots also could break the tie with the Steelers for the most Super Bowl rings in NFL history, which would be their 7th championship. Um, Other stats I looked at for this game as well, you know, I'm trying to look at it. I think I actually talked about them earlier with the 60-1 odds for both teams. And the Seahawks too. It's funny. I think the funniest thing about the Seahawks getting here is that the last 3 times a new pope was elected, they've each gotten the number 1 seed in each year, and they've gotten to the Super Bowl each year. So we should have known from the get go that this was going to happen. So
What a
funny.
world we live in, right, Nick?
Yeah, very, very funny times that we're living in. But before you and I break down that game, Johnson, the Super Bowl, of course, let's also break down some of the recent coaching changes in the NFL world. Now, there is still a couple openings left open. So by the time Johnson and I record our next episode, which will be a couple weeks from now when we recap the Super Bowl, those head coaching openings should, hopefully for those teams, be filled by then. If it's not, there's definitely a problem for those teams. So in the meantime, we have the Baltimore Ravens hiring Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. So a very interesting hire for Baltimore. They replaced John Harbaugh with the Chargers defensive coordinator, who just had a really strong season with that Chargers defense, really revitalizing that group. So we'll see if he can do the same thing for Baltimore. Um, I don't know what you thought about this move. Mike McCarthy being named the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Will that keep Aaron Rodgers back at the helm? Because, of
I
course, he
love
has
how
his
you
history.
mentioned that.
Because it keeps,
I think that's exactly why they did. And I think I've said this
yeah,
before. I think the Steelers are willing to keep him on. Obviously, they're gonna bring a guy with Mike McCarthy. He's familiar with. He already has his safety blankets there with his couple teammates.
he's a Pittsburgh
And
native, so I guess the ties are there.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And they're probably shooting for at least 10, 11 wins. Postseason, whatever. Like that's what they're shooting for: 10, 11 wins at this point.
Yeah,
And if anyone could squeeze out more quality games out of Aaron Rodgers, why isn't it the guy that coached him to a Super Bowl? Why
yeah.
why not? I see this is a great pairing. It's a fresh start for both these guys, and it's really unfortunate because a lot of Aaron Rodgers' career has a giant asterisk on it because he missed so many games. I mean, he sat for many years behind
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre, and then he was injured a bunch in the mid 2010s and late 2000s, so he missed time there, and then he missed an entire season with the Jets as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this guy, honest to God, if he had a better career, like, and what I mean by better, it's a little bit healthier. Like if he had, if
He'll
he'd
win a
only
lot
missed
more
games every now and
MVPs.
there, I'm not even
Yeah.
saying win the MVPs. I'm just saying his all-time
Oh,
stats because that's why he's going, at least in my opinion, because
yeah.
he has the greatest interception ratio of all time, touchdown to interception ratio. He has the greatest passing rate of all time. Uh, but what he's really fighting for is total touchdowns and passing yards. If he had played those couple seasons, even if he didn't miss that season with the Jets, right? If he actually played a full season, you assume he gets about 4,000 yards. That's not a stretch for Rodgers at that point in his life. 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns, that's not a stretch, right? That puts him at about 70,000 passing yards and 550 touchdowns. And say, even between, because he missed, I'll give him that he is going to miss a full season between those, when he was injured. I think when he broke his leg, I'm not mistaken. I forget what year it was. I think it
He
was 2013 or
There was a
2017.
year where he injured his arm.
That's 2017, I
That was
think.
the
And
Anthony Barr play with the Vikings. There was
yeah,
that year, and then he got injured. I forgot what the second one it was. I think it was a knee injury, but I can't remember.
yeah, that was in like 2013. I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna say, like, let's say he gets injured those two times, he misses that time, right? Because he missed a lot of games, right?
Yes.
Let's say he just starts his career just one season earlier, right? And he ends up going for 3,000 yards and let's say 20 touchdowns. This guy easily could have 75,000 passing yards and 575 touchdowns, and he would retire because I don't think Stafford would catch him because he'd be 10,000 yards ahead of him and 80 touchdowns ahead of him. But that's what he's playing against right now because Aaron Rodgers' legacy right now is he's all these. He's high up on the stats board here. Like he's such a dominant player when he was healthy, but he also had some unfortunate you know injuries in his career that he's going to kind of end up like Shaq 10 years from now. In the
Hmm.
sense where Shaq was the most dominant player when he played, but because of injuries and he started his career late, whatever, Shaq didn't score that many points in comparison. Like he's going to be off the top 10 scoring
And
list pretty soon.
yeah, and it's funny because the comparison, it's like because Shaq after that goes to so many different teams, like you don't associate him with those teams, and you really feel the same way about
Like you think,
Rodgers.
oh yeah, he's forever like a Laker, but like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, but he got weird towards the end there.
yeah, like Phoenix, Cleveland, Boston. Like Rodgers now is on that kind of like an arc where it's
He's picking
Jets,
teams
Steelers, and who knows if it's Steelers or if he goes somewhere else.
somewhere else. Yeah. So I think, listen, I think he's still a top 20 quarterback, and I think a lot of teams would love to sign him. So I think hiring McCarthy is definitely great. And Arthur Smith is no longer there. Well,
Yeah,
transition into that. He's going to Ohio State. So
yeah,
Rogers going to
what a
have his
weird
own, if he
cycle that
wants to,
is.
Rogers going to have his own OC there. He could
Mhm.
pick the guy. I really think that this org is going to work with him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Arthur Smith
let's
was
talk about it.
Arthur Smith was a guy that was going to be was a head coaching consideration for a couple different teams during this head coaching cycle, but he was never going to get an actual head coaching job. I would be very stunned by that. And now he goes to Ohio State, and we saw what they just did this past season, bringing in Matt Patricia as their defensive coordinator. That worked out, obviously, for the most part. So bringing in another former NFL head coach to now be their offensive coordinator. We'll see if that does work for them. Of course, you're bringing in a Heisman. You have a Heisman Trophy candidate from last year, Julian Sayin. You have Jeremiah Smith, of course. You will not have Carnell Tate, so that does hurt a little bit on the offensive side, but their offense should still be, firing at all will with Arthur Smith being at the helm now at offensive coordinator. So that was an interesting hire there for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And as I noted, there's still a couple jobs left opening in the head coaching cycle. I'm going to look at them real quick before we transition into our Super Bowl talk. But out looking, I believe it's not Baltimore. It's Buffalo, Arizona, Cleveland, and Vegas. I think those are the last four head coach teams that need a head coach. And that's indeed the case.
Buffalo's the easiest plug and play. They're not going to really. They can get a coach late, is whatever. Vegas is the one that worries me because you're going to
I
want a guy
think
that can coach up Mendoza. assuming that's who
Yeah,
they're going to pick. So that's the one they got
I
to
think
fill like
their lead.
yesterday.
I think they're trying to close in on Davis Webb, the Broncos quarterback coach, to being their head coach. They're meeting with him again tonight to potentially discuss a deal there. For the Bills, I forgot who it was with the Browns that they're competing for. I think it was the Rams passing game coordinator that they're looking at. They're both meeting with them tonight with the guy. I think the Browns met with him earlier in the day, and the Bills are meeting with him later tonight. So there very well could be a head coaching hiring later on in the evening after our show concludes tonight. But those are some of the teams that still have a head coaching vacancy for the most part. So, like I said, by the time we get to our next episode, which will be in a couple weeks after the Super Bowl is over, those should be filled by then. If not, like I said, it'd be very worrying if I were one of those four teams that don't have a head coach by at least Super Bowl Sunday
You think Hugh
in just a
Jackson can
couple
make a
weeks.
comeback?
I hope not.
No, you think
He's
he's okay? I think he's in Georgia
not with
Southern
a
right now.
not with a one
Maybe
in
Georgia
what
State.
was it?
Georgia State. That's where he's at.
Is that Georgia State now?
He's at Georgia
Oh
State.
God. I mean, what did he go? Like what was it? One in
I think he went 0-16.
he went 0-16 and 1-15. So 1 and
Yeah.
31, 2 years. Yeah, I mean, no coach will ever
Um.
do that again. At
Yeah.
least
Pretty
I hope
much.
not. Yeah, very bad. You know who I looked up recently? Also, speaking of weird head coaches,
Tell me,
I looked up Adam Gase not too long ago. I tried to figure out
what's
where
he
he
up
went.
to?
He is working, and I have to look this up again just to make sure I'm not getting it wrong. Let's see. He hasn't been in the NFL since the Jets job. Since 2021, he's been on the 33rd team, which is a film company, I believe it is. He's a strategic advisor alongside both Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia. Funny enough.
That's
Um,
that's that must be one hell of a. That must be awkward.
yeah, yeah, very, very, very interesting dynamic there. I guess you want to put it like that. But you were talking about weird head coaches that should not be getting head coaching opportunities again. Adam Gase is probably one of those as well. From that disgusting tenure. This has
You
been.
think Matt? Speaking of which, you think Matt Patricia ever goes back to the NFL? Or think he's okay there at Ohio State? Because you
I
just
think
mentioned him.
if they continue to do
He's still
well
young. He's still
defensively,
very
yeah,
young.
I think he'll get another. I don't know about head coaching opportunity. I think he can make it back in the NFL as a DC. I think it's very possible because
Yeah, that's
you're
what I
seeing
mean.
it
Like he could easily be a DC in the NFL. Like
because
I would
you're
take him as
seeing it
doing
with
this
Wink
DC.
Martindale.
Yeah,
If you remember, left the Giants after a bad ending tenureship with them. He went to Michigan to become their defensive coordinator, and it looks like the Jets are trying to key in on him being their DC for the upcoming season. So there is that career path where you had a nice career in the NFL, you go to college for a little bit to try to become
yeah.
a
Look at
coordinator,
Jim.
and you go right back to the NFL. So it could work
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, look at no better man than Jim Harbaugh himself.
Right, and you never know. Hey, listen, I mean, they have a DC opening right now. I mean, Chargers
Can
could
you imagine? Can
use someone.
you imagine Wink with that Chargers defense? With if they have imagine, and again, it's a lot of things like about moving parts. Can you imagine Jim Harbaugh as your head coach? You have Wink Martindale as your DC, and then you have Mike McDaniel as your OC.
That'd be an
I think
incredible coaching staff.
that's a great coaching staff. I think that's your winner right there, Chargers. Like if you
Chargers would
want
have
to get
someone
to the
to
promised
finally brag
land,
about.
that's a hell of a coaching staff.
That would be one hell of a coaching staff if they got the job done there. That might be the case. We'll see. We'll see who they hire. But all right, Johnson. Let's enough talking about the coaching cycle. Let's get down to the nitty gritty and let's break down Super Bowl number 60 for this NFL season. An incredible year it's been in the National Football League, and now only one team is going to be able to host the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the day in just about 13 days from now on Super Bowl Sunday. So let's break down this game between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, as you reminded me earlier. A rematch of Super Bowl 51. And who could ever forget that Super Bowl? The incredible Malcolm Butler interception on the goal line, the infamous "why didn't they run the ball" Marshawn Lynch moment. Rematch in this Super Bowl. And I brought up some of the storylines going into this game. Of course, Mike Vrabel can make some history. The Patriots are going to make a lot of history in this game. Seattle trying to win their second Super Bowl in the franchise's history. And for the Patriots, Johnson, it's uncharted territory because they are going into this game as an underdog. The last time they were an underdog in a Super Bowl was Tom Brady's first full season as a starting quarterback in 2002. So a little bit of an interesting wrinkle there going into this matchup between New England and Seattle. So why don't you break down what the lines are for this Super Bowl matchup in Santa Clara?
Yeah, this is our final mushing hour of the year, and we have Patriots v Seahawks. I was gonna say Sawhawks, excuse me, in Santa Clara. Seahawks 4.5 point favorite. Kind of a home game for him. You know, it's West Coast. It's
West
gonna be
Coast,
pretty.
yeah.
Listen, even though it's West Coast, it's kind of a
I mean, they
soft
have the most
Seahawk
passionate
territory.
fan, one of the most passionate fan bases too. The
But
Wolves always show out.
and this is what I'm gonna and I'm glad you mentioned that. But this is what I'm gonna bring it up now is
Yes.
because this is a corporate game now. With this to get in, it's gonna be thousands of dollars. So
Oh yeah, it's already. Have you seen the
listen,
prices already for it?
yeah. So like, listen, like it's gonna be crazy because I don't think you'll get the really crazy passionate fans that'll get a scream for their team. So like, I think you'll get a lot of a neutral crowd. Probably be about 75% neutral, maybe 20%, maybe 15% Seahawks fans, maybe 10% Pats fans. Like it's gonna be neutral.
Hey, Tom
I
Brady
know,
will be there.
I know he will. And I have comments on that in a second, but
Oh,
let me
okay.
go back into this line. We have Seahawks minus 4.5 and 45.5 is the slated over under. And Nick, make your pick,
Oh, you want me to go first? Wow.
please.
Uh, I go Patriots plus 4.5.
I see what you're doing here.
What am I doing?
Nothing. I'm taking Seahawks minus 4.5.
Oh, what are you? You're picking against your own team?
Well, I had the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. Like,
Yeah, because and you had your team in the Super Bowl, so I see what you're doing.
no, I had the Seahawks versus Bills going into this game. I didn't have the Patriots.
Well, last
making
week
this-
you had it.
Oh well. Hey, it happens.
Patriots win the Super Bowl for me.
Patriots win the Super Bowl. I have the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. I think the Patriots have had a great run. It's been a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Uh-huh.
We're way ahead of schedule. We'll be back in a couple of years, and we won't be going back to back Super Bowl appearances. Probably a couple of years before we get back here.
Okay.
But I think it's a great learning experience, and I would say maybe in 2030, when Drake May's in his prime, they've had a little bit of time to gel. I think that's when they win the Super Bowl. Maybe in
Oh.
2030.
Yeah, hopefully maybe our twos cross paths again. Maybe Jackson Dart gets
Just not next year.
Yeah, maybe
And I have Kenneth Walker as my Super Bowl MVP because I
Kenneth
really think the
Walker.
ground game is going to be there. They don't have Zach Charbonnet anymore. He's injured.
True.
They're starting a fullback with him. I think he'll get a lot of ground time, and I think he's going to abuse that Patriots defensively.
He's
I think he'll wear him down.
650 odds to win Super Bowl MVP. Don't hate that. I will go. As much as I wanted to take the long shot of maybe Travion Henderson, it's a quarterbacks league, so it's probably gonna be Drake May. I think he won't win MVP, but then he'll just say, screw it, I'll just win Super Bowl MVP, might as well. So I'll take Drake May to win Super Bowl MVP.
I think it's going to be a great game no matter what
It should be a
what the
good
outcome is. I mean, listen, of
can't-
course I
it
want the Patriots
can't-
to win.
It can't be worse than I know you watching the Chiefs get blown out was fun for
That
you
was
to
cinema.
watch.
That was a great watch. I
It
enjoyed
was just
every
not a
single minute
good
of that.
game. It was just a good game if you wanted to hate watch the Chiefs. And that game, obviously, for me, was not good because the Eagles won that game. This game should provide some interesting facts because, as we mentioned, these are two teams that going into the season were not supposed to be, one, in the playoffs and two, not in the Super Bowl. The fact that they've gotten this far shows that these coaching changes that were made a couple years ago for one team and for the other team, a change that happened just this past offseason, really shows that they could change the dynamic of this team. Mike Vrabel, of course, got the Titans to a conference championship game a couple years ago. He gets fired, which was still an outright terrible move by the Titans.
Absolute disgrace. Hey, do you know that the Patriots have won more games since December than the Titans have since they fired Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, I mean, you could see the Titans they're just in a whirlwind of a mess right now. I don't even need to bring up them, but yeah, I mean, New England, Vrabel takes the year off from coaching. New England, rightfully so, says why not bring him in? The Jerome Mayo experience is probably never going to work for us. And Vrabel has changed the culture of this team in more ways than one. So he's done a great job there. Mike McDonald has done a fantastic job in Seattle. Of course, the former DC in Baltimore, really changing the Seattle defense that a couple years ago, Johnson was one of the worst in the NFL, is now one of the best in the NFL going into the Super Bowl. So he's done a fantastic job. Of course, we talked about Darnold and what he has done since revitalizing his career. Drake May, of course, a second year. We talk about the second year collapses for a lot of young QBs. That was not the case for Drake May this season. He had a second year renaissance, if you want to put the word terminology towards that. And it's going to be interesting to see who gets the job done at the end of the day in Santa Clara in just a couple weeks' time. And for you and I, Johnson, a little bit of a breather in this NFL season before we wrap up the entire 2025-2026 season in just 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, this has been it. We've had 52 episodes since September, so
Whew.
late August. So it's a lot. It's a lot,
Yeah.
and a lot of that is also college football. If college
Yes.
football and NFL, it's minimum like two weekly episodes. And you have NBA, you have NCAA, which we don't talk about. Now we can start talking about that stuff because
Yeah. I
football
mean,
is finally over.
yes.
Almost.
And I think what's great, for us, we'll get a little bit of time off the next couple of weeks, but not to be outdone, we do have a lot upcoming in the next couple of weeks for you and I. Of course, next month we have the World Baseball Classic starting. You and I covered that a couple of years ago. We got to recover that this season. I think this World Baseball Classic might
A
be
lot
one of the
more.
best.
This
Yeah,
Team USA, this pitching staff.
yeah.
When I
Team
initially
USA
saw it,
looks good.
it looked terrible, and then they started adding guys, and like, wow, this is
Yeah,
a really good pitching
Team
staff.
USA looks good. Team Japan looks pretty good. I think it was Team Puerto Rico as well. Looks really good, or the DR. I forget. It was one of those two teams.
It's the DR.
It was
They're
the
always
DR.
good.
Yes.
They're always loaded.
It's a star-studded World Baseball Classic that you and I have to break down. It's going to be an incredible watch in just a couple weeks
I'm just
time.
gonna give you the starting nine, and I don't know what order it's gonna be. Obviously, I'm gonna give you the starting nine. The starting nine is gonna be Corbin Carroll, Byron Buxton, Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr., Bregman, Gunnar Henderson, Bryce Harper, Schwarber, Cal Raleigh, and then your pick of either probably Scooble or Skeens.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's a
you
fantastic
probably
starting
go
nine.
Schoolball because of the back-to-back Cy Youngs, but you can't go wrong with either one of those two.
So I
It,
think it's gonna be loaded.
it's going
That's
to
just
be
Team USA, but probably not even the favorites to win. But that's a loaded team.
no. It's they probably give the edge to Japan, but you and I will break that down. We'll break down the odds for
Stay
each
tuned.
respective region of the World Baseball Classic. We'll give our picks as to who win. We more than likely will be biased towards the USA, but despite the fact, I mean, it's going to be an incredible watch for those two. And then, of course, Johnson, next month, I know you're looking for, not next month, but over the next couple of weeks, you and I will be watching a lot more college basketball. And then in March, you and I will finally get to break down this year's college basketball season. We'll break down the conference championship tournaments coming up that week. And then we'll break down bracketology for certain teams. And then the week after, you and I will get to break down and recap the Selection Sunday and Field of 68 that they break down the NCAA tournament, and you and I will give our picks for certain region winners, Final Four picks, our national championship picks, and then we'll see who goes from there. And then for the NFL fans, we'll be after the Super Bowl. The next time Johnson and I will be talking about the NFL will be in April when the NFL draft comes around town. That should be always an interesting time for us. Another annual mock draft for us too. I think what is this now?
Year four,
Five?
year four. I think year
Year
four.
four of the mock draft?
I think year
I don't
four.
I don't
2022 was the
remember.
first year we did it.
Right? Okay, so yeah, it would be our fourth.
If we start in 2021 because we were approaching the 5-year anniversary. So
Yes,
2022 would be the first mock draft.
yes. So another annual mock draft for us coming up in April. So while our busiest time of the year is coming to an end, we still have a lot more in slate in the next couple of weeks, and we also have to talk about the NBA, Johnson, too, in a couple of weeks' time. The first half of the season
Yeah,
is coming down to a wind.
I'm glad you mentioned that because we have the 2026 All Star Game
Yes,
happening February 15th in the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles.
yeah,
And hey, if you guys haven't been to the Intuit Dome or seen it, I haven't been out
incredible.
there. I've never been to LA. But that Intuit Dome looks crazy. They have the wall there, so it's gonna be very curious to see how they run this for the All Star Weekend. I'm
Yeah,
looking very much forward to it, and that's 2 short weeks away. So we'll have Super Bowl recap in 2 weeks, and the week after that, you're getting All Star Game. You're probably the same week as the Super Bowl recap.
I was
So
same. Actually, no, the World Baseball Classics in March, so that'll be a little bit of times after that. But speaking of
we
the
can
World
stay
Baseball
active.
Classic, yeah, and speaking of the World Baseball Classic, I almost forgot to bring this up too. We also have the MLB season to come up as well. It's been an incredible free agency for the MLB this current off season. A lot
Yeah,
of I don't know if I want to say turmoil or controversy, but there's certainly been some controversy this MLB offseason. So you and I have to break that down too in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, there's a
Moving
lot of
closer
sports
towards
we're talking about
March, April.
non-football related. Even though football, like I said, we've done 52 episodes and probably 48 of them have been about football the last 4 months. If we're probably gonna do another 50, 60 episodes non-football related for the rest of the year. So you gotta
Yeah,
start talking about it.
and we might as well talk about WrestleMania too. Well, that's coming up too.
Of course, we got the WrestleMania, we got the Royal Rumble this weekend, and I
Yeah,
have no idea what's going to be going on. WrestleMania
no clue.
season's always a lot of fun
No clue.
for the for the wrestling fans out there. It's gone mainstream the last couple of years, and I hate it because I can no longer pay $50 to go see a
Yeah,
SmackDown or Monday Night
yeah.
Raw in the Barclays Center or in Madison Square Garden. So that's unfortunate, but hey, at least it's getting out there, right?
And
It's
I think,
popular,
yeah,
whatever. I miss the WWE Network. Bring it back, $9.99 a month, yada yada yada.
$9.99 a month. Yeah, I forgot about those times. There's so many fond memories. And I think something also you and I might have to discuss during this off time period is in the summer. We do have a World Cup coming up too for soccer.
Right
We
here,
might,
and we're gonna be local. We're gonna be a stone's throw away from Manhattan and from MetLife Stadium. We might
yeah,
go to a game or two.
maybe, yeah,
Listen,
maybe,
if prices are good enough, I don't want to pay $10,000 for a seat,
yeah,
but will I pay a couple hundred to go to a World Cup game? If
yeah,
I like the teams that are playing here, absolutely. You got a lot of good squads there. I know seating is done, but the teams haven't all been selective yet. Um, I know there's some European tournaments going on, and the assumption is that Italy is going to make it with their current tournament, and I would like to see them. I know they're playing Northern Ireland. This is going to be later in the year, I think in March to start the tournament, but
yeah,
there's going to be a lot of great things. Again, for the tri-state, a lot of Italians here. They're going to be playing if Italy makes it. They're going to be playing in Toronto, so that's a very short drive, about 8 hours from the tri-state area. So you don't got to hop on a plane. Just go up north. I've done it before to Buffalo. Driven over Niagara Falls. It's not that much further from there. So
yep,
this is your opportunity, tri-state Italians, to go watch Italy if they make it in a couple months.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, you said as well. You know, while one sport is coming to an end for us for now until April, we still have a lot more on the table in the next couple of weeks for us. You know, a lot of basketball talk, baseball, maybe some World Cup action in the summer, and then yeah. So it's gonna be the next couple of months. While no NFL, it will still be a very hectic time for us. It'll be a very fun time for us in the next couple of months. So, like I mentioned, for a programming note, after tonight's episode, the next time Johnson and I will be back on the show will be after Super Bowl Sunday. We will recap the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Seahawks, and then we will give our final takes on the NFL season while giving a little bit of a preview towards next NFL season. And then after that, the next time we'll be live for the NFL will be for the I think the week prior will be the NFL mock draft or the NFL draft preview before the mock draft. So we'll have a couple things in April for the NFL draft coming up then. But after tonight's episode, the next time we'll be live for the episode for the NFL will be for the recap of the Super Bowl. So we'll see who gets the job done in Super Bowl 60. Any final thoughts, Johnson, before we wrap this one up?
Let's go Patriots. I hope we bring it home. I'm not gonna keep my hopes up too high there, but I do hope we bring it back. It's been a great season, and all these haters saying it's a Mickey Mouse run, you guys would sell your soul for this Mickey Mouse run. That's
I
all I gotta
would
say.
absolutely, I know I've seen a couple Super Bowls in my lifetime, but I would absolutely love to have had it.
Yeah, you would love it. Who doesn't love a listen when it's your team? You love a Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse run.
I just want to get there. I don't care I don't care who I'm
Exactly.
playing.
That's
I
what
just
I'm
want to get
saying. You
there.
would kill to be in this position. Listen, there's some franchises you could talk like, okay, you're a Chiefs fan, Mickey Mouse run, whatever. Okay, like, you've had a couple, but there's fan base like Dolphins fans and Bills fan talking. You guys couldn't buy a Mickey Mouse run. I don't want to talk about it.
That's a great way to end the show, right? All right,
Nothing
all right,
better.
Johnson. Yeah, nothing better than that. We'll see who gets the job done though in a couple weeks' time. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. An incredible NFL season and postseason is now down to the final wire. We head to Super Bowl number 60. It is the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots in a rematch of Super Bowl 51. Will the Patriots once again get the job done over Seattle and get their seventh Super Bowl championship, which will be the most in NFL history? Or can Seattle get their second Super Bowl ring and get revenge from Super Bowl 51? We'll break all of that down in just a couple weeks' time, while also look at to a preview of next NFL season. Uh, as I said, in 2 weeks' time, right after Super Bowl Sunday is concluded. So we'll see you back in just a few short weeks. For Nicholas Pavone and Andrew Johnson, this has been the All Gas Don't Break Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week.